evening, and thank you for tuning in for Chamber Live. I'm Christine Curnan, Vice President of the Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber, and I'm pleased to have as my guests this evening two of our chamber members, Dr. Alli of Henry J. Austin Health Center and Tom McManimon, President of StimulusBrand Communications. We will be discussing the upcoming changes that will be happening at Henry J. Austin Health Center in Trenton and why it is so important to have a federally qualified health center right here in Mercer County. Welcome, Dr. Alli and Tom. How are you?
Hey, Christine.
Hi.
Well, thanks so much for being with us. Dr. Alli, can you explain a little bit about what the Henry J. Austin Health Center is and the services that you offer?
Yeah, so thank you again so much for this opportunity. Hello, everyone. Henry J. Austin Health Center has been in existence now for 50 years, so about half a century. We provide the full range of services from pediatrics to adult care, women's health care. We provide oral health care. We're also really in tune to providing services for the whole person. So in that, we provide both primary health care, but also mental and behavioral health care and substance use treatment as well. We have a very strong HIV counseling and testing and treatment department, as well as a few specialties. So we provide things like nutrition services or asthma management services or podiatry services. We see everyone, all comers are welcome. So we, of course, see Medicaid and Medicare. We accept those insurances. We have a strong population of uninsured individuals that we see, but we also have patients that have commercial insurance, that have private plans. So again, we provide services, the full complement of services from children to adults, and we provide services to all insurance payers as well.
It's been there for a while, but I know there's a lot of changes. So how long have you been open now?
So Henry J. Austin, our doors, literally of the facility we're in now, were established in 1978. Previous to that, we were in another location. So we've been in our current building a little over 40 years. We have recently begun what I call the rebirth of Henry J. Austin, but it's really, as we look at this midway mark in a century, I think it's a good time to sort of go back and reflect on where we've come from as a health center and where we want to go in the future.
During the pandemic, Dr. Alli, I'm sorry, I like calling you Cammy. Dr. Alli, how has the center changed during the pandemic time?
Yeah, so like many health institutions, right at the beginning of the pandemic in March, we really realized that services and the way we provide services was going to need to change. We wanted to keep our patients safe, but we also wanted to keep our staff safe. So very quickly, we changed the way in which we provide care, which was mostly face-to-face, to almost all telemedicine. We sort of did a flip of face-to-face to telemedicine, and we did it in about a week, which is pretty astonishing. I'm very proud of my clinical team at Henry J. Austin. And so as a result, we were able to maintain access for our patients. Not only were we able to maintain access, but what we saw was that we saw more patients during the pandemic than pre-pandemic, which is really interesting. But the notion and the idea that telemedicine really can expand access to our most vulnerable patients, I think there's really something there. And as we look to the future, we think there's going to be a hybrid of services between telemedicine and what we do face-to-face.
Yeah, okay, then that was my next question. Will telemedicine, continue, and how would you incorporate that in your services? So, yeah.
And it's a really interesting question when you really think about what are the services that you have to provide hands-on and what are the services that you don't. And it's an interesting question and somewhat of a dilemma, because most of what we do as providers, as physicians, as nurse practitioners, as caregivers, it is the laying on of hands, and sometimes we forget just how important that is, even if it's a touch on the shoulder. And so there's a part of our profession that is very much laying on of hands, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how we as an industry evolve into this hybrid world. And it's something I know we're thinking of routinely at Henry J. Austin. What are those things we need to do face-to-face? But what are those opportunities or those incidences when it may not require face-to-face technically, but you still need to see someone face-to-face? And that's the tricky part.
I totally agree. And I mean, just as the chamber itself, we're going through our challenges as well, because we were all in person. It was all about networking, shaking people's hands, really getting to know them face to face. And so we're moving all virtual, and it will be a part of our organization, even when we're back out of the pandemic, that will be. I understand that you will be going through a new branding, and can you explain why this is happening at this time?
Yes, and so as we came to the 50th year of Henry J. Austin providing services to the Greater Trenton community, we wanted to, again, it was an opportunity to really think about all the services, all the ways in which we provide care, and how do we want to do that going forward for another 50 years, I hope, if not, and more. So it really was an opportunity to reflect on, as I said, where health centers came from originally. And the more I learned about the history of health centers, the more I wanted to go back to that. So health centers originally were founded out of the Office of Economic Opportunity. I find that fascinating. So we weren't funded from the Department of Health and Human Services as we are today. And it really was, the first health center really was part of Lyndon Johnson's War on Poverty. We were a vehicle, a mechanism to really uplift and empower communities. And so I just find that fascinating. And as we were thinking about that in our organization, we said, yeah, that's really what we want to be. We want to be about empowerment. We want to be about unifying. There is a health center, and I give them a little shout out every time I say their quote, Community Health Center out in Connecticut. And their CEO said to me, there are many places in life that we as people gravitate to. I want to be one of those places. I want to be the third place. And I said, what do you mean the third place? And he said, well, the first place is usually a person's home. That's where the heart is, right? Home is where the heart is. The second place, he said, is usually your job. That's where you spend a lot of your time. And the third place differs for different people. Some people, that third place is a church, their faith base. And he said, I want people to think of my health center as the third place. And I said, yes, exactly. I want us to be a beacon. I want us to be a place where people go to not just get healthy, but to be empowered, to be a beacon of hope for our community. And in that, I thought, wow, that's really like a rebirth that is grounded in where we came from originally. And that sparked the idea of, yes, now we need a whole new brand. I mean, this is just so grand. This is just so great. We can't keep going with the same logo. And the logo was good, but it represented a different time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love the way you said that, because I really do believe that, when you're taking care of yourself as well, that is in the beginning, right? So when the people that are coming to you and the people you serve are getting the help and the health that they need, it's amazing. So, I love the story. That's really great. So tell me then, the new brand. What is the new brand?
Yeah, I'm going to pull in my fabulous Tom here. So when we were looking to rebrand, we reached out to lots of our partners. And I have to say, that's the thing I love about Trenton. One of the things I love about Trenton is it really is a community network. And I'm sure you know of the Trenton Health Team. They are a member of the Chamber, and reached out to them amongst others. And he gave me the name of StimulusBrand. And met with Tom, and we were in alignment right from the beginning. And the rest, they say, is history. But I'll let Tom elaborate.
It's refreshing to hear the commentary you just gave moments ago about third place. I remember when we first talked about that, and it really grounded where we needed to go with creating the face of your brand, right? In our early conversations, for me, before we design anything graphic or create any language or verbiage, I want to know about the people, the organization, the spirit, the hope, and the direction. And all of those things influence what we decide to do graphically. And I found out that you had 5 core values in your organization that you were hoping we could project in the brand messaging. And I thought, well, that just means we're going to do something that has to do with 5 graphics or 5 points. And that really resonated to me of the way to do something proprietary, because these core values are not anyone else's, they're yours. You have that core 5. We also wanted to create a mark that was really colorful and diverse and had a lot of energy. We were coming from a place that was a little bit more corporate-y, and we wanted to build something that had a lot more energy and vitality to it. So, as you know, we developed a lot of approaches, and we honed in on this one approach that features a series of intertwined marks that actually, from an abstract point, are the letter A for Austin, and they're all intertwined. So to suggest we're all in this together, it is one community. And so that meant a real proprietary element in the mark. Then it was sort of domed as if it were a bridge. And those of us who know Trenton makes the world takes bridge. And in this very community would be this health center that is a bridge to wellness and a bridge for the community to come together. So those are real meanings behind what we created in the mark. It also is a bridge to wellness. The physical place is a center, it is a building, but it is also central to your life and your well-being to take care of your own wellness and to avail yourself to the various different services that this organization is going to offer. So, we wanted to make sure that it had a sense of vitality, it had energy, it had a sense of celebration, because this is here for you. The mark is an outward-going graphic that is supposed to elicit the feeling and the attitude and the spirit of coming to our center. And so it's a sense of celebration. This is a place where you can feel good about being in its presence. This is a place where you will feel better about yourself and your well-being. It also is an important element was diversity in the community, diversity in the range of services that are now offered broader and deeper than ever before. So you might think that that's a tall order for someone to come up with a mark that ultimately has to be simple and memorable. And we believe that we've come up with it. We're thrilled to have done this. We love doing work in this category. And it was a team approach because we had a lot of input and a lot of feedback from some highly qualified people that helped us tweak it and turn it and twitch it and, choose the right colors. And oddly enough, Christine, you appreciate this. When I came into the center in Trenton to go through presentations of these marks, I did not know. I promise you, I did not know this. They were already painting all the hallways and rooms of the facility under construction with the very same colors.
Yeah.
They told me, and I had never shown them the mark. And that's how I just knew. I knew we were on target. And so we're very proud of the mark. We can't wait for the community to see this and see a new sense of energy and freshness. And lastly, the Center for Wellness, it comes back to, it physically is a place for you to come to. but it is also a place for you to feel centered and well and strong. So I'm excited for it to be revealed into the marketplace and then build off of that further communications.
All right, so the name is now
Henry J. Austin Health Center. And then it always has a little tagline with it, the Center for Wellness.
Congratulations. Are you excited?
Oh, we are extremely excited. It's been a long time coming, and I really appreciate, as Tom said, this partnership, sort of this journey that we were on together. We pride ourselves on treating the whole person and being really as inclusive as we possibly can. And so, as Tom mentioned, not only were their staff that voted on the logo of their choice and they picked Tom's, I was so happy. Sometimes that can go wrong. We involved our board committee. We have a dedicated group of board of directors, and we involved our patients. And we got feedback from our patients on the logo, on the mark, on the thoughts, and I was just inspired with how insightful they were. And you mentioned something that I think was important. You said, what's the name now? And that was one of the things we were unsure of at first. Should we change the name? Should we tweak it a little bit? And really, when we went back to our patients, they said, no, Henry J. Austin Health Center means something in our community. You have been around for half a century, and we don't want to let that go. And so we kept the name because we understood the value and importance and the role that we do play in the community. And so we kept the name as is, but as we've said, the mark is refreshed for our rebirth of Henry J. Austin in the coming half a century to come.
Yeah. I love that it's a celebration, renewal of what once was, with a much deeper, broader set of offerings.
Yeah.
And, as you said, we did entertain different names, but I love when you go to the customer, you went to the patients in the community, because after all, we can over-strategize and overthink and over-intellectualize what we want. The reality is, if it's meaningful to them, it's on target.
Well, that's fabulous. And congratulations again. This is so exciting. And I just love having two chamber members that are working together on a project like this, creating such great energy. So that's really, really what I love the most. And so I'm just going to thank you both for joining me today and really enlightening our audience a little bit about Henry J. Austin Health Center and StimulusBrand Communications. Together, you guys make a great team. And congratulations again on your new logo. And Mark, thank our production sponsor, April K and New Jersey Buzz Productions. If you're not familiar with New Jersey Buzz, I highly recommend you following them on all of the social media sites. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks again, Dr. Alli, Tom, and everyone. Have a great evening. Be safe and well.